Post-divorce, my ex-husband cast me out with not a penny. Desperate, I went to activate my father's old card he left, yet the bank official blanched, then cried out, "Madam, swiftly view this." My breath caught as I comprehended what was unfolding. Can you imagine the gut-wrenching feeling of realizing the man you loved, the man you built your entire life with, had just ripped everything away from you and handed it over to his mistress? And what if, in that moment of absolute despair, all you had left was a worn-out old debit card from your late father, a card you thought was completely empty, but it ended up shaking a bank manager to his core? What the hell happened next, right? That's exactly where my story begins. It was a thick, humid Atlanta summer day, the kind that just clings to your skin. I just spent 2 grueling weeks in a tiny, dusty town in Alabama, down in the sticks, taking care of my critically ill mother. Now that she was stable, I was finally heading home. All I wanted was the comfort of my luxury penthouse and, of course, my husband, Kwesi. I dragged my small suitcase through the lobby of the Sovereign, one of Buckhead's most prestigious buildings, right in the heart of Atlanta's wealth. I even managed a tired smile when the elevator chimed on the 30th floor. Exhausted, yes, but so happy to be home. The hallway was cool, quiet, almost too quiet. I got to door 3A, our penthouse. I dug into my purse, pulled out the key fob, and tapped it against the digital reader. Beep beep. A red light flashed. Access denied. I frowned. That's weird. I tried again. Beep beep. Strange, I mumbled to myself. Maybe the card got demagnetized. I rang the doorbell twice. A moment of silence stretched. Then, I heard footsteps inside, followed by that soft, unmistakable click of the lock turning. The heavy door swung open. And there he stood. Kwesi. My husband. But it wasn't the Kwesi I knew. His eyes were cold. He was wearing his silk robe, and on his neck, oh God, there was a fresh, bright red lipstick mark. You're back already, he said. It wasn't a greeting. It was a dismissal. My heart seemed to just stop beating. Kwesi, I whispered, my voice trembling, why isn't my key working? Because I changed the locks, he replied, still blocking the entrance. Just then, from inside, I heard the crystal-clear laughter of a woman. Babe, who is it? If it's a solicitor, tell them to kick rocks. And then she appeared, peeking over Kwesi's shoulder. A young, very beautiful woman, much younger than me. It was Aita, a local Instagram model who'd been gaining clout and who, frankly, always made my stomach turn. And she was wearing my silk robe, the very one I'd gifted myself for our wedding anniversary last year. Aita's eyes swept over me, top to bottom, judging my simple travel clothes, my tired face, my worn suitcase. Oh, she said with a mocking smirk, it's not a solicitor. Turns out it's the ex-wife. Ex-wife. My world tilted. Kwesi? What is this? I barely whispered, a stinging burn rising in my eyes. Who is she? Why is she in our house? Why is she wearing my clothes? Kwesi let out this dismissive sigh, like I was the trivial nuisance. Listen, Zelika, this is over. Better we talk downstairs. Don't make a scene here. He didn't even let me step inside. He just stepped out, closing the door behind him, leaving Aita smiling smugly. The elevator ride down was silent, agonizing. I was petrified, my brain incapable of processing what had just happened. The faint, cloying scent of Aita's expensive perfume clung to Kwesi's robe. It made me sick. The elevator chimed, opening into the busy lobby. Evening rush hour. People stared. Kwesi walked quickly to a secluded corner by a floor-to-ceiling window. I followed him like a robot. Kwesi, explain this to me. My voice was barely audible. What is there to explain, he said, cold as ice. Is it not clear? You and I are done. Finished. Just like that. 10 years. 10 years of building, of caring for his sick mother last year, of being his rock. Building with you from ground zero, he scoffed. Don't be ridiculous, Zelika. I am successful thanks to my hard work. You're just a burden. Especially after you spent so much time taking care of your mama in that country town, you forgot your duties as a wife. My duties? I gasped. Yes. Look at you. He pointed at me with disgust. disheveled, unkempt. I am a major developer. I need a partner on my level, not a housewife like you. My jaw dropped. The man in front of me was a complete stranger. Anea, so it's been going on this whole time? Yeah, we've been together a year, he said without a shred of guilt. And she understands me much better. Suddenly, a building security guard approached, pushing a small, tattered duffel bag. The same one I'd used when we first moved to Atlanta, years ago. Kwesi snatched it and threw it at my feet. The contents spilled out, just some old clothes, a wallet. Those are your things. The rest I threw out. Then he tossed a brown envelope onto the bag. Those are the divorce papers. I've already signed them. Inside is a settlement. All the assets. This penthouse, the cars, the company, everything is in my name. You came into this marriage with nothing. You leave with nothing. The tears finally escaped. This wasn't just humiliation. It was annihilation. You can't do this. Oh, I can. And I already have. He looked at me with eyes as cold as ice. Sign those papers. If you behave yourself and don't claim marital assets, maybe I'll be generous and give you cash for a Greyhound bus ticket back to your little town in Alabama. Whispers started among the residents. I felt naked. Get out. Kwesi hissed. But this is my home too. Not anymore, he shouted. Security. 2 guards approached. They looked uncomfortable, but they were clearly on Kwesi's side. I'm sorry, ma'am. Please don't make a scene, one said, gently grabbing my arm. I was dragged out. I looked back, staring at Kwesi with desperation. Kwesi, please. He just looked blankly, then turned and walked towards the elevator. Up above, near the mezzanine railing, I saw Anea's silhouette, watching. A victorious smile on her face. The heavy glass door of the lobby hissed shut behind me, separating me from the last 10 years of my life. I was thrown onto the busy sidewalk under the darkening Atlanta sky, with only a duffel bag of old clothes and divorce papers that mocked my existence. Night fell quickly. Streetlights flickered on, but my entire world was dark. I walked aimlessly. The honking horns of Peachtree Road sounded like roars in my ears. I had nowhere to go. My mother in Alabama was still recovering. I couldn't burden her with this. My feet carried me to Centennial Olympic Park. I sat on an empty bench, staring at the skyline. My stomach growled. I hadn't eaten since morning. Around me, restaurant patios came alive. The aroma of barbecue ribs, fried catfish, waffle cones, it made my stomach ache even more. People laughed. Young black couples walked hand in hand. I felt like a ghost. Invisible. Non-existent. I opened the wallet Kwesi had thrown at me. Inside, about $10. In cash. Not enough for a night in even a cheap motel. My phone battery was at 5%. I rushed to open the mobile banking app for our joint account. Balance, 0. He had cleaned me out. Every dollar we had together, even the savings I had before we got married. A cold, heavy despair wrapped around me. It was over. I was truly at rock bottom. I would be homeless tonight. Tears fell silently. I looked down at the wallet again. Behind the card slot was a faded photo of my father, Tendai, a simple tobacco farmer and merchant who died 10 years ago, just before I married Kwesi. And behind that photo, something else. My trembling fingers pulled it out. A faded blue debit card, peeling at the edges. The logo was barely legible. Heritage Trust of the South. I was stunned. I remembered. My father gave me this card when I was 17, moving out for college. Keep this, my baby girl, he'd said, his voice soft but firm. This is an account Papa created for you. Never use it unless it's absolutely necessary. Don't mix it with money for your expenses. Imagine it doesn't exist. How much is in it, Papa? I'd asked. He just smiled mysteriously. Enough to be an anchor. If you ever feel like your ship is going to sink, use this. But as long as you can sail, don't touch this anchor. I never used it. I forgot about it, busy with college, then meeting Kwesi, building his empire. I always thought it'd have a few hundred, maybe leftover allowance. But tonight, my ship wasn't just sinking. It was blown to pieces. I held the card tight. The $10 wasn't enough. But maybe Maybe the rest of my father's money would be enough for a bus ticket back to Alabama. A small hope, thin as a thread, began to light up in my tight chest. I didn't sleep that night. I took shelter under the awning of a closed shop, hugging my duffel bag, waiting for morning. Dirty, hungry, scared. But that faded card felt warm in my hand. At 8 a.m., I stood in front of the Heritage Trust of the South Branch in downtown Atlanta. The place was exactly as I remembered from childhood visits. An old stone building, anchored in the past, far from the modern glass and steel banks where Kwesi kept his money. Inside, it was quiet. 2 tellers, a customer service desk. The smell of old paper and dust filled the air. I took a number. I was the only customer. I was called to the customer service desk, manned by a young man named Kofi. "Good morning, ma'am. How can I help you?" He was polite, though his eyes showed a hint of confusion at my disheveled appearance. "Good morning," I rasped. I want to check the balance, but the card is very old. And I've forgotten the PIN." I handed over the faded blue card. Kofi took it, frowned. "Wow, ma'am. This card is ancient. This is our old logo. Can it still be used?" I asked, anxious. "I'll check, ma'am." He took my ID, matching the name, Zelika Okafor. He started typing. The system seemed slow. Kofi typed, clicked, then frowned again. "Huh, that's strange," he murmured. "What's wrong?" My heart beat wildly. "The data isn't coming up directly. Ma'am, our legacy system is sometimes a little slow. It seems this account is in an inactive or dormant state. How long has it been since there were transactions?" "Maybe 10 years?" I replied hesitantly. Kofi's eyes went wide. 10 years? "One moment, ma'am. I'm going to try accessing the manual server." His fingers danced over the keyboard. His screen flickered, showing rows of green code I didn't understand. Silence. Only the keyboard and the noisy air conditioning. I bit my lip. It's over, I thought. Asterisk, surely the account's been closed. The money lost. Asterisk, Kofi scratched his head. How odd. The balance isn't reading, ma'am. But there is a sort of flag. An alert on this account. A high-level alert. Alert? Does that mean I have debt? I panicked. No, not debt. I've never seen a code like this. One moment, ma'am. Kofi typed a series of commands. The computer seemed to think. Then, on his screen, something appeared. Kofi's face, relaxed moments before, suddenly changed. He went pale. His eyes opened wide, glued to the monitor. "Mr. Kofi?" I called out. He didn't answer. He was frozen. He reread what was on the screen. His mouth opened slightly. He swallowed hard. Suddenly, he stood up so fast his chair flew backward, making a loud screech. "Mr. Zubari. Mr. Director." His voice was shrill, breaking the bank's silence. He didn't care about me anymore. His eyes were still glued to that screen, wide with horror. A middle-aged black man, stern-faced, stepped out of his office. "What is it, Kofi? Don't shout like that. There are customers." Mr. Zubari, the branch manager, scolded him. "I'm sorry, sir, but you have to see this." Kofi pointed at the screen with a trembling hand. Account in the name of Zelika Okafor, inheritance from her father, Tendai. Mr. Zubari sighed, annoyed, and walked toward Kofi's desk, ready to lecture his young employee. He glanced at the screen. Then he froze. His professional, rigid face crumbled. His expression changed from annoyance to confusion, and then to a deathly pallor. He looked at the screen, then at me, then back at the screen. "Ma'am." "Mrs. Zelika Okafor?" he asked, his voice, previously firm, now trembling. "Yes, sir," I whispered, scared. "What's wrong? Was my father a criminal?" "Kofi," Mr. Zubari ordered. "Close your window quickly. Put up the closed sign. Take Mrs. Zelika to my office right now. Don't let anyone see the screen." The order was so urgent, so full of panic, that I jumped. Kofi, stuttering, immediately put up the sign and turned off his monitor. "Come with me, ma'am," he said, now treating me with immense respect, almost with fear. In Mr. Zubari's cramped office, the door was locked instantly. He paced for a moment before sitting down, his hands shaking slightly as he turned on his desk computer. "Excuse me, ma'am." You caught us by surprise, he said. Actually, what is happening, sir? Did my father leave a huge debt? My voice was on the verge of breaking. Debt? Mr. Zubari let out a nervous chuckle. No, ma'am. Far from it. He turned his computer monitor towards me. Kofi, standing silently, pointed at the screen, holding his breath. Ma'am, look at this quickly. The screen didn't show a balance in dollars. It showed an ownership structure diagram. Ma'am, Mr. Zubari said, his voice low with astonishment, this account is not a normal savings account. This is a master account connected to a limited liability company. A corporation. A corporation? I frowned. LLC. Correct. Called Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. This company was founded by your father, Tendai Okafor, in 1998 and was left inactive exactly 20 years ago. But my father was just a tobacco salesman. That is what he wanted people to know, ma'am. Mr. Zubari interrupted. Your father, it seems, wasn't just a salesman. He was a land broker. A genius one at that. He clicked on a tab. The title. List of assets. Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. Mr. Zubari continued reading. It is the legal owner of 2,000 acres of pecan groves and farmland in South Georgia. All under this deed. The sole ownership was transferred completely to you as the heir, with a special clause. What clause? I whispered. This company activates automatically, and all its assets become accessible to the heir, only if the heir accesses this master account in a desperate situation, or if the balance of their personal account is zero. My jaw dropped. My father, he had predicted this. I looked at the row of numbers on the screen. They weren't savings figures, but figures of land acreage. I didn't faint. I didn't scream. I just sat up straight. The hunger, the exhaustion, the humiliation of the last 24 hours, it all evaporated. Replaced by something else. Something cold. Sharp. Very strong. I remembered Kwesi's mocking face. I remembered Anea's victory smile. Mr. Zubari, I said. My voice was calm. Cold. It surprised even me. Yes, ma'am. How do I activate this company right now? Mr. Zubari looked at me with concern. My reaction was totally unexpected. I wasn't crying. I wasn't screaming with joy. My eyes, swollen from the night before, now hardened. I stared at the screen with terrifying focus. Mr. Zubari, I repeated, my voice steady. What do I need to activate this? He stuttered. Technically, it is already active, ma'am. As soon as you access this account with a null personal balance, the clause was fulfilled. Our legal team managing the trust, well, they are already waiting for your instructions. Kofi, the young employee, promptly poured a glass of water and placed it in front of me. I didn't drink it. My father, Tendai. What else do you know about him? Mr. Zubari opened a drawer, pulling out a thick, dusty folder. Your father was a priority client long before the term private banking existed. He left this, a letter and legal documents. He said, this can only be opened by my daughter, or by us if she has accessed the account. He handed me a yellowed envelope. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside, a sheet of paper, neatly handwritten. To my baby girl, Zelika. If you are reading this, it means there are two possibilities. First, Papa is no longer here, and you are ready to start your own life. Second, life hasn't gone according to your plans. Papa was a salesman. It's true. But Papa also knew that this world isn't always fair to good black women like you. I saw how they treated your mother. Papa kept a small anchor for you, not to spoil you, but to ensure you have options when you feel cornered. Papa designed the desperate clause on purpose. I know you are smart, but your heart is too soft. I was afraid, if you had wealth, you would attract the wrong man. And if you didn't have wealth, you would be oppressed by the wrong man. Papa failed in one thing. I hope you never need to read this letter. But if you read it, remember Papa's message. Don't cry. Don't get revenge with tears. Build your own kingdom, my child. Make them regret it. The anchor has been dropped. Now sail, baby girl. Papa. The tears I had been holding back finally fell. But they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of understanding. My father, the simple salesman, had seen the future. He had seen Kwesi decades before Kwesi even existed. I wiped my tears with the back of my hand. I looked at Mr. Zubari. I need 3 things, I said. What things, ma'am? First, cash. I don't have a dime. Of course. Kofi, prepare a cash withdrawal from the operating account, Mr. Zubari said. Second, I continued, I need a place to stay temporarily. A secure hotel, far from the sovereign apartments. That can be arranged. We have corporate rates with secure hotels. Third, and this is the most important, I leaned forward. I need all the financial data of Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. And I need a recommendation for the best business restructuring consultant. Not from around here. I want someone from the Midtown Financial District, someone who doesn't know Kwesi. Mr. Zubari was stunned for a moment, impressed by the composure of the woman who, 30 minutes ago, had looked like a homeless person. I know a name, he said. They nicknamed him the Cleaner. Very expensive. Very cold. His name is Sika. Good, I said. Give me the money, book me the hotel, and organize my meeting with Sika. I didn't stay at the hotel Mr. Zubari booked. That was my first step, not being predictable. After taking a considerable amount of cash, enough to make my head spin if it had been yesterday, I bought a new phone, a new number, and several sets of simple but clean clothes at a nearby mall. Then I booked a room at the St. Regis, one of Atlanta's most luxurious hotels, under a fake name. For 24 hours, I locked myself in that room. I ordered room service, ate my first decent meal, took a hot bath, and just slept. I let my brain process the destruction and rebirth of a single day. The next morning, I didn't call Sika. I knew someone like Sika wouldn't be impressed with a phone call. I went directly to the financial district in Midtown. Sika's office was in one of the skyscrapers, minimalist, cold, all glass and steel. I, in my new clothes, simple but neat, contrasted with the setting. I want to see Mr. Siku. I don't have an appointment, I told the receptionist. Mr. Sika is busy, ma'am. His schedule is full for the next 2 months. Tell him, I said calmly, Zelika Okafor, owner of Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC, assets of 2,000 acres. This is urgent. The receptionist hesitated. But 2,000 acres made her pick up the phone. 5 minutes later, I was ushered into a corner office with a view of all of Atlanta. Sika was a black man in his mid-30s. He didn't smile. He wore a dress shirt with no tie, but he looked more formal than Kwesi ever did in his suits. His eyes were sharp, analyzing me. I only have 10 minutes, Mrs. Okafor, Sika said, his voice deep and flat. Okafor Legacy Holdings. Dormant company. Agricultural assets. What is the problem? I sat down without being invited. The problem, Mr. Siku, I said, is that this company just woke up. The assets are large, but I don't know anything about pecans, peaches, or how to run it. And I have another problem that must be solved. What problem? My ex-husband, a developer in Atlanta. His name is Kwesi. He demands a share. He doesn't know about this. Sika raised an eyebrow. This is interesting. What do you want from me? I want you to restructure this company from the ground up. Audit everything. Make it an active, modern, profitable company. And I want you to be my personal advisor, I stated. I want to know how to use this power. Sika stared at me for a long time. I am expensive, ma'am. I know, I replied. I don't deal with personal dramas. I'm not asking you to deal with drama. I'm asking you to teach me how to win a business war. The drama is the bonus. Sika smiled slightly. His first smile. When do we start? Yesterday, I replied. 2 weeks passed. Atlanta didn't know what was happening behind the closed doors. Sika's small team and I worked 20 hours a day. We dissected Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. It turned out the assets were even greater than estimated. My father hadn't just bought land. He'd also bought small shares in various agri-food companies whose value had now skyrocketed. I learned fast. I devoured financial reports, studied property laws, learned the fundamentals of agribusiness management. Sika watched me. This client was different. She didn't panic. She wasn't greedy. She was focused. Like a dry sponge, absorbing every piece of information. During those 2 weeks, I also transformed myself. I cut my long, dull hair into a short, firm, elegant bob. I threw out all my old clothes with the help of a personal shopper Sika hired. My closet now contained tailored suits, silk blouses, simple but classy dresses in strong colors: black, navy blue, burgundy. Reading glasses replaced my contacts. High heels replaced sandals. But the biggest change was in my eyes. There was no fear anymore. Only calculation. "Are you ready to get back in the ring, ma'am?" Sika asked one afternoon. "I'm ready," I said. They didn't go to a hotel. Under my orders, Sika's team had worked discreetly in Atlanta. They bought an old mansion in the Cascade Heights area. Not a flashy new McMansion like Kwesi liked, but a historic, solid, elegant building that emanated an aura of old black power and generational wealth. The house was paid for in cash. When I walked into my new mansion, I was no longer the Zelika who was kicked out of the apartment lobby. I was Miss Zelika Okafor, CEO of Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. Meanwhile, in the penthouse at the Sovereign, Kwesi and Anaya's life was at its peak. "This project, babe," Kwesi exclaimed one night, pouring champagne for Anaya. "This is going to change the game." After managing to kick me out, Kwesi felt invincible. His construction business was frantically looking for new projects. "I have inside info," his eyes shone with greed. "There's prime land, thousands of acres down in South Georgia, coming onto the market. They say it's going to be opened up for luxury development. I have to get the construction contract." Anaya, busy taking selfies with her champagne glass, was only half listening. "Oh yeah, great. That means our wedding can be in Turks and Caicos, right? And I want that new Birkin bag, the crocodile skin one." "Sure, whatever for you," Kwesi said. But deep down, he was a little anxious. To get such a big project, he needed a huge capital injection. He needed investors. His company, honestly, had quite a few debts here and there, all to finance their lavish lifestyle. "I'll organize meetings with all possible investors," he murmured. A few days later, Kwesi started hearing rumors in Atlanta business circles. "Did you hear?" an acquaintance said. "There's a new player in town, investing like crazy. Bought a mansion in Cascade. Cash. Brought in a consultant from Midtown. That guy, Siku, the cleaner." "What's the name?" Kwesi asked, intrigued. "No one knows exactly. Very secretive. But the company name is old. Okafor Legacy Holdings, LLC. Ring a bell?" Kwesi shook his head. "Old-fashioned name. Probably some old money folks just realizing their assets. This is the opportunity." He immediately ordered his secretary to find a way to contact Okafor Legacy Holdings. He had to present his proposal for the development in South Georgia. He didn't know that the lands he coveted were the very ones listed in my deed. The invitation arrived. Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC was interested in hearing the proposal from Kwesi's company. The meeting would be held at the CEO's residence in the Cascade Mansion. Kwesi felt on top of the world. "Look, Anaya, they invited me. Surely, they've heard of my reputation." That morning, he put on his most expensive suit. He rehearsed his presentation in front of the mirror. He was determined to dazzle this mysterious investor. He arrived at the mansion. The high wrought iron gate opened slowly. He walked into a majestic but cool foyer. The walls were marble, the furniture antique and heavy. An assistant with a formal look received him. "Good afternoon, Mr. Kwesi. Please wait in the meeting room. Our CEO will join you shortly." Kwesi was led to a grand library, transformed into a meeting room. On one side, a very long mahogany table. On the other, tall windows overlooking a manicured garden. At the end of the table sat a man looking at his laptop. "Sika." Kwesi thought he was the boss. "Good afternoon, sir." Sika looked up. His eyes were cold. "I am Siku, consultant." "Sit down, Mr. Kwesi. Our CEO is on the way." Kwesi sat down. He started to feel a little nervous. The atmosphere in this room was too heavy, too silent. 5 minutes passed like an hour. Suddenly, the double doors behind Kwesi opened. He didn't turn around. He heard the sound of footsteps. High heels. Asterisk click. Clack. Clack. Asterisk affirm. Rhythmic sound on the marble floor. "Sorry for the wait." A voice was heard. A familiar voice. But impossible. Kwesi froze. He knew that voice, but this voice was cold, full of authority. He turned his chair slowly. The footsteps stopped at the other end of the table. There stood Zelika, my hair perfectly styled. I was wearing a navy blue power dress that wrapped my body perfectly. Reading glasses rested on my nose. My face was made up subtly, but professionally. I looked at Kwesi. There was no hatred in my eyes. No love. Nothing. Just the look of a superior at a subordinate. Kwesi's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I sat calmly in the head chair. Sika stood beside me, handing me a tablet. I looked at Kwesi, then smiled. The smile didn't reach my eyes. Good afternoon, Mr. Kwesi. My clear voice filled the room. I am Zelika Okafor, CEO of Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC. I leaned in a little. Please begin your presentation. I heard you are very interested in the lands in South Georgia. I paused, letting my words sink in. Casually, I continued in a relaxed tone. Coincidentally, all the land you covet for your ambitious project belongs to me. Silence. The silence in the meeting room was so thick that Kwesi could hear his own heart beating in his ears. Asterisk a joke? This has to be a joke. Asterisk, but my eyes, the eyes that used to look at him with adoration, were now as cold as the marble beneath his feet. Zelika? Kwesi managed to emit a sound. His voice cracked. This is impossible. 2,000 acres? Okafor Legacy? Where did you get the money? I leaned back in my chair, not answering that question. I turned to Sika. Mr. Siku, what do you think of the initial proposal from Kwesi Constructions Incorporated? Siku, who had been silent like a shadow, spoke. His voice was flat and lethal. Conceptually ambitious, but financially very weak. Mr. Kwesi, your proposal does not include adequate risk analysis and your profit projections are too optimistic. Kwesi felt as if he had been doused with ice water. He came to dazzle a foolish investor. Instead, he was being audited. Wait, Kwesi said, trying to control himself. His arrogance started to return, looking for logical explanations. Asterisk Zelika must just be a puppet. This man Siko is the one in control. Zelika just got lucky. Asterisk Zel, he said, trying a softer tone, the one he used to cajole me. I don't know what happened to you, but this is big business. Maybe we can collaborate. I mean, you know me. I'm the best builder in Atlanta. I smiled slightly. Oh, I know you very well, Kwesi. Then I stood up. I don't have more time, but I will give you a chance. Hope lit up instantly in Kwesi's eyes. My team, I looked at Siku, will do due diligence. A complete full-life due diligence of your company. We need to see your accounting, your list of assets, and your list of debts. We will not invest a single dollar in a company that is not transparent. Kwesi hesitated. Opening his books would be a disaster. His company wasn't as healthy as he bragged. Why does it have to be so complicated? He asked. It's me, Zel. Your ex-husband. Precisely for that reason, Mr. Kwesi, Sika interrupted. We must be professional. Take it or leave it. If you reject the audit, we will consider your proposal void and offer our land to another developer. I heard your competition from Buckhead is very interested. That was a threat. Kwesi was cornered. If he withdrew, he lost the biggest project of his life. If he moved forward, he had to open his wounds. Fine, Kwesi said, forced. Fine. Audit. I'm not hiding anything. I nodded. Mr. Sika's team will contact you. Good afternoon. Kwesi was escorted out of the mansion. He got into his car with his knees shaking. He didn't know if he had just escaped danger or if he had just walked into a trap. What he knew was that the Zelika he just met scared him. Kwesi returned to the penthouse at the Sovereign in a mess. Babe. Anea greeted, jumping off the sofa. She was wearing new silk lingerie. How did it go? Are we rich yet? When can we start planning the wedding in Turks? Shut up for a second, Anea. I'm thinking. Kwesi shouted, throwing his jacket on the floor. Anea was surprised. Hey, why are you yelling at me? Kwesi paced back and forth. The investor is complicated. It's really messed up. What do you mean complicated? Did they say no? Aenea's tone was starting to get anxious. No, not yet. But, my God, you're not going to believe this. Kwesi pulled his hair. The investor, the CEO, is Celica. Anea froze. What? Celica, the homeless woman. She's not homeless anymore. Quasi growled. She is different. She has a mansion in Cascade. She is a financial consultant. She owns the land. Anea's beautiful face went pale. This was the worst-case scenario. Not because she loved Quasi, but because her status, her luxuries, her future, depended on Quasi's wallet. And now that wallet was threatened by the woman she had despised the most. Surely it's a bluff. Anea shrieked. She can't be that smart. Surely she hooked up with some old rich man. Yes, that's it. She's a kept woman. Quasi wasn't listening. She wants to audit my company. What am I going to do? Anea's panic transformed into anger. That woman. Who does she think she is? Coming back and ruining everything. I'll handle her. Anea hissed. Handle what? Don't get involved. But Anea already had a plan. She knew where the new black elite of Atlanta gathered. She would find Celica. She would humiliate that woman in public, reminding her who she really was. A few days later, Anea, through a friend, discovered my location, a luxury boutique cafe in the new office area of Buckhead. Anea arrived with full force, designer clothes from the latest season, a flashy bag, heavy makeup. She saw me sitting alone in a corner, reading documents on a tablet while drinking tea. Anea slammed her hand directly on the table, making noise on purpose. Well, well, well. Look who's here. Anea said, her voice projected so everyone could hear. Mrs. Celica Okafor, right? Moving fast, huh? Climbing classes from being thrown out in the lobby to sitting in an expensive cafe. I looked up slowly, looked at Anea, and then went back to my tablet. I said nothing. That indifference made Anea even angrier. Hey, I'm talking to you here. Don't play deaf. Who do you think you are, huh? You're bothering Quasi. Stay away from him. He is mine now. I sighed. I put down my tablet. Yours? I asked, my voice calm. Things that are owned are usually objects, Miss Anea. Not humans. Don't give me lessons. I know your game. You came back to steal Quasi from me again, right? Because he's successful. I let out a little chuckle. A cold laugh. Steal Quasi, Miss Anea? Why would I bother picking up the trash I already threw out? Anea's face turned red. I stood up. Now I was at eye level with Anea. Listen well, I whispered, but the intensity made Anea take a step back. I'm not interested in Quasi. I'm interested in his company. And if you want to know, I looked at the flashy bag Anea was holding. Quasi came to me begging me to finance his project. He isn't even capable of paying for your lifestyle without begging me. Liar. Yes. I pulled out a black credit card, the Centurion card, from my wallet. A card made of metal. Today I feel generous. I called the waiter. The check, please. And also for this lady, I'm paying. I looked at Anea. Consider it charity. You need it more than I do. I grabbed my tablet and walked out, leaving Anea frozen in shame, a spectacle for the entire cafe. The bait game had worked. Quasi was humiliated by the urgent need to hand over all his financial documents to Sika's team. Meanwhile, I humiliated Anea in the cafe. Sika's team gathered in the war room of the Cascade Mansion. This isn't a company, Miss Celica, Sika said, pointing at the large screen showing the cash flow of Quasi Constructions Incorporated. This is a house of cards built on air. Explain, I said. First, Sika began materials. He charges his clients for grade A cement, but reports show he buys grade C. He takes a 40% profit just on material embezzlement. This is illegal and dangerous. I remembered a small bridge project Quasi bragged about. My stomach turned. Second, debts, Sika continued. He doesn't have bank debts. He's too smart for that. He gets into debt with small suppliers, sand pits, local hardware stores, small equipment rental companies. He delays their payments for months, even years, knowing they don't have the legal strength to fight him. The list of supplier names appeared on the screen. I recognized some names. And third, taxes. Sika said. He keeps 2 books. One for himself, one for the IRS. His tax evasion is massive. I sat in silence. The man I was married to for 10 years. The man I cared for when he was sick. He turned out to be a scammer, an extortionist, a thief. Good, I said. My voice was steady. Sika looked at me. Good. Yes. This gives us a weapon. What is the next step? Kwesi is only focused on us on those 2,000 acres. Siku explained. He doesn't realize that his debt to the small suppliers is his weakest point. I stopped, thinking about the strategy. I want you to buy all that debt. Sika smiled. I assume so. I have prepared 3 shell companies in Delaware. We will buy every outstanding invoice from those suppliers. We will pay cash. The suppliers will be happy. They will be very happy. I said. And Kwesi, Siku added, will know nothing. He will only feel relieved because the collectors will stop calling him. He will think we are going to give him capital. How much time? I asked. Give me a week. In a week, Kwesi Constructions Incorporated will no longer owe anything to the small merchants, Sika said. He will owe me. Exactly as Sika predicted. Kwesi suddenly felt his life was easier. The calls from angry suppliers stopped. He considered this a good sign. He thought the news that he was going to collaborate with Okafor Legacy Holdings had scared the suppliers off. He was very wrong. Feeling the pressure decrease, Kwesi decided it was time to take the last step. He had to secure Zelika. Not on a business level, but personal. He knew the Zelika of before was weak, forgiving, and still loved him. He sent a bouquet of white roses, my favorites back then, to the Cascade Mansion with a note. I know I was wrong. Let's talk like old times. Dinner at our usual spot. I almost threw the flowers away, but Sika stopped me. Go, Sika said. Let him dig his own grave deeper. That night, I went to the upscale restaurant where Kwesi had proposed to me. Kwesi was already waiting. He looked impeccable. He ordered the most expensive wine. See, he said, taking my hand across the table. I allowed it. My skin felt cold. I asked for your forgiveness. I just looked at him, waiting. I know I was very wrong, Kwesi continued. His eyes got misty. His performance was perfect. Anea, she is just a toy. I was pressured. You know, business is hard. And you? You were busy with your mother. I felt lonely. So, was it my fault? I asked. My voice was calm. No, it was my fault. Kwesi rushed to correct himself. I was blind. I didn't see the diamond I had until I saw you in the meeting room the other day. I realized what? How fantastic you are. We can be the best team, Zell. Kwesi leaned in. I've already left Anea. She's already out of the apartment. It was a lie. Anea was shopping with his credit card at that very moment. We can start over, Kwesi whispered. We will dominate Atlanta. You with your land, me with my expertise. Forget Siku. You don't need him. You only need me. I withdrew my hand slowly. Your seduction is good, Kwesi. Better than your business presentation, I said coldly. Kwesi was surprised. Maybe you're right, I continued as if thinking aloud. Kwesi had hope again. We really have to fix this, but I can't mix personal and business. Sure. Let's finish the business matter first. Exactly, I said. I've already seen the result of your audit. Anne, Kwesi asked anxiously. And we need to talk seriously, I said. Tomorrow in my office at 10 a.m. Bring your lawyer if necessary. Once that is over, then we can talk about us. I stood up, leaving Kwesi with a bottle of expensive wine and a sly smile, thinking he had just won. At 10 a.m. sharp, in the meeting room of the mansion, Kwesi arrived alone, without a lawyer. He brought another bouquet of roses. He was very confident. He thought this meeting was just a formality before he and I reconciled. He entered the room. The atmosphere was far from romantic. I was already seated in the head chair. Sika was standing beside me. On the long mahogany table, there were no coffee cups, but stacks of thick legal documents. Zell, babe, Kwesi greeted, trying to break the ice with the flowers. Sit down, Kwesi, I said, my voice cutting. Kwesi sat, his smile faltered. Let's get to the point, I said. Mr. Sika stepped forward, placing a binder of documents in front of Kwesi. Mr. Kwesi, this is the list of debts of Kwesi Constructions Incorporated, Sika said. To Garcia Aggregates, a total of $100,000. To Bolt Hardware, $50,000. To Iberian Machinery, $200,000, and so on. The total verified debt with 12 suppliers is $500,000. Kwesi's face paled. What does this mean? I'm negotiating with them. They no longer need negotiation, I interrupted. Because everyone has been paid in full. Kwesi looked at me confused. Paid by whom? I pointed to myself. By me. Siko pushed a second binder of documents. Through 3 investment companies affiliated with Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC, we have acquired or bought all those outstanding invoices. Copies of the deed assignment are in front of you. Kwesi opened the first sheet. His heart seemed to stop. In other words, Kwesi, I leaned in, looking directly into the eyes of the man who had destroyed me. Your company no longer owes anything to those small merchants. I paused, letting the silence fill the room. Your company now owes me. Me? Kwesi couldn't breathe. I can pay. I can pay in installments. Oh, of course, I said, but I'm not interested in doing business with you, and I'm not interested in getting back with you. I want my money back. I slapped the documents in front of Kwesi. According to the assignment clause, this debt is due. Now, you have 24 hours to liquidate those $500,000 in cash. 24 hours. That's impossible. No one has that much cash. Kwesi shouted, finally panicking. I do, I replied coldly. You set a trap for me. A trap. I stood up. I am only claiming what is my right. Just like you kept all my rights before. If in 24 hours you cannot pay. I put the third binder of documents on the stack. Our legal team will immediately register the lien on that penthouse in the Sovereign. On your office. And on all your heavy machinery. Good morning, Mr. Kwesi. 24 hours. Kwesi never knew how short 24 hours were. After leaving my mansion, he didn't go back to the apartment. He panicked. He spent the first hour driving aimlessly, cursing me, Siku, and the whole world. The second hour, he started calling. He called his bank manager. I need a loan of $500,000. The collateral is my project in South Georgia. The bank manager laughed. Kwesi, don't joke. You don't have that project secured yet. Besides, your credit limit is already tapped out to finance. Well, you know. Kwesi hung up abruptly. From the 3rd to the 10th hour, he spent calling all his business contacts, every friend he had invited for expensive wine, every small official he had tipped. The answer was the same. Oof, tough, Kwesi, or sorry, I'm out of town, or they simply didn't pick up the phone. The news of his downfall, which somehow started at that mansion meeting, spread faster than fire. Hour 11. In his desperation, he returned to the penthouse. Anea was trying on a new dress she had just bought that afternoon. How does it look, babe? Nice, right? Sell it. Kwesi shouted. What? Sell it all. Kwesi shouted, his eyes red. Sell your bags. Sell your jewelry. We are bankrupt. Anea's face paled. These are gifts, not investments. Are you crazy? Zelika set a trap for me. Kwesi raved. That snake woman bought my debts. She gave us 24 hours to pay $500,000. Anea didn't care about the debt. She only heard one thing. The money ran out. At 10 a.m. sharp the next day, exactly 24 hours later, the doorbell of his penthouse rang. Kwesi, who hadn't slept all night, opened it. He hoped it was me, coming to cancel my threat after softening up. No. In front of the door was Siku, calm as a statue. Behind him, 2 well-dressed lawyers and a man in an official uniform holding a thick folder, the sheriff's deputy. Your time is up, Mr. Kwesi, Sika said flatly. Wait. I need time. Time is a luxury you didn't give Zelika, Sika interrupted. He took a step forward. According to the order from the Fulton County Superior Court, we are here to execute the lien on this asset. The deputy began putting seizure stickers on the wall of the apartment foyer. No, this is my house, Kwesi shouted. Technically, it is the collateral for your debt to my client, the lawyer corrected. You and this young lady, he looked at Anea with disdain, are required to vacate these premises in 1 hour. Take your essential personal effects. 1 hour later. The scene in the lobby of the Sovereign turned into a spectacle. Kwesi, The same man who 10 years ago felt like the king of the place was escorted out by security guards, the same guards who threw me out before. Anea followed him, crying hysterically, dragging 2 suitcases full of her designer bags. Kwesi wasn't just bankrupt on paper. Now he was literally on the street, back at the ground zero he created for me, on the hot sidewalk in front of the lobby. The real drama had just begun. "This is all your fault," Anea shrieked, hitting Kwesi's chest. "You said you were rich. You said you were great. Turns out you're just a scammer." Kwesi, who had already lost everything, unloaded his remaining anger on the only target left. "My fault. Your fault. Who asked for Birkin bags every week? Who asked for vacations in Turks? You made me spend, parasite. Parasite." Aenea's jaw dropped. Their fight was so loud it became a public spectacle. They didn't realize that across the street, someone was recording the fight with their phone. "I didn't sign up for this," Anea shrieked. "I'm done." She dragged her suitcase, trying to hail a cab. "Where are you going?" "You won't survive without me," Kwesi mocked. "You'll see." Anea went to a luxury hotel, trying to book a room with the unlimited credit card Kwesi gave her. "I'm sorry, ma'am. Declined," the receptionist said coldly. She tried another card. Declined. All declined. Kwesi had blocked everything. Or it was the bank. Anea panicked. She called her high society friends. "Girl, I have a problem. Can you lend me?" The phone cut off. She called another. "Hello, I have bad signal." Phone turned off. She didn't know. Through my new network, didn't need to do anything. Sika just had to leak Kwesi's audit report to a few key people. The news that Kwesi was a scammer and Anea, the side chick linked to a bankrupt scammer, had spread through all the group chats of Atlanta's elite. She was toxic. No one wanted to associate with her. That night, the recording of her fight with Kwesi in front of the building went viral on local gossip blogs. Her beautiful face was now associated with bankruptcy and cheap drama. Her modeling career was finished. The doors of the high-class world closed. Anea, who once felt on top of the world, now had to sell her authentic bags, and some fakes she just discovered Kwesi gave her, one by one, just to survive. Back to the obscurity she hated so much. 2 weeks after the seizure, I sat with Siku in the meeting room of my mansion. The mahogany table was now full of blueprints. "All assets of Kwesi Constructions Incorporated have been liquidated," Siku informed me. His office, his equipment, and the penthouse. "Everything is enough to cover the debt of $500,000, plus interest and legal costs." "Good," I said. "What will we do with the penthouse?" "We can sell it." I shook my head. "No. Sell all the luxury furniture inside. Empty it. Then give the keys to Mr. Zubari at the Heritage Bank. Tell them to give it as a bonus gift to Kofi." Sika raised an eyebrow, a little surprised by the touch of cynical humor. "Kofi, the bank teller?" "Yes. He deserves it. He was the first one to help me." "Very well, ma'am. And the 2,000 acres? Will we proceed with the luxury development plan?" I stood up, walking toward the large window, looking at the garden. I remembered my father's letter, "Build your own kingdom." Kwesi wanted to build a palace for the rich that people like me could only see from outside the gate, I said. "I will do the opposite." I went back to the table and pointed at the new blueprints. "I am going to build homes." I declared that Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC would use the first 250 acres to build dignified, subsidized housing, complete with a school and a small medical center. "Ma'am?" Siku asked, now truly interested. "For the workers in our pecan groves, and for the owners of the small suppliers who were almost destroyed by Kwesi. They will have priority and special discounts." "And the machinery seized from Kwesi?" "We will use it to build those houses," I said with a faint smile. "It's poetic justice." Sika looked at me with undisguised admiration. "Not only that," I added, "on another 25 acres, I want to build the Okafor Center, a training facility for modern agribusiness and small business management. I want people like my father to have the chance to succeed without having to hide." I wasn't just getting revenge. I was building a legacy. I was done with Kwesi, but the law wasn't. Kwesi, now living poorly in a shared apartment on the outskirts, thought the worst had passed. He thought that after losing everything to me, he was free. One afternoon, while eating instant noodles, there was a knock on the door. Police, Mr. Quasi. You are under arrest. What is this now? My debt to Zelika is paid. This isn't about debts, the officer said. This is about the use of substandard materials on the bridge project in Macon and tax fraud. Quasi froze. How did they know? He didn't know that Siku, on behalf of a client concerned about public safety, had anonymously sent copies of Quasi's double ledger and the lab results of the poor quality cement to the district attorney and the IRS. He built a bridge that could collapse, I had told Siku at that moment. It could kill people. This is no longer about him and me. It's about justice. The news of Quasi's arrest was a local headline, Elite Developer Falls. Alleged corruption and fraud. In my mansion, I watched the news on the large TV. I looked at Quasi's face, gaunt and angry, being escorted away. I felt nothing. Neither anger nor satisfaction. That chapter was finally closed. I turned off the TV. 1 year later, Okafor Legacy Holdings LLC was no longer a dormant and mysterious company. It was now one of the new economic pillars in the South. I had revolutionized my pecan groves with sustainable practices, raising wages for workers and building modern facilities. The Okafor Training Center had already opened, and the first class had graduated. The first phase of subsidized housing was full. I was no longer called Madam Director with a tone of fear. The old workers called me Miss Zelika or Tendai's daughter with respect and affection. I was standing on a hill on my farm, looking at the green expanse under the afternoon sun. I was no longer the disheveled woman in the lobby of the Sovereign, nor the cold woman in the meeting room. I was Zelika. Complete. Footsteps were heard behind me. Zelika, the view is beautiful, Sika said. He was no longer wearing a formal suit, just a casual linen shirt. Now he spent more time in the country than in Atlanta. Yes, I said, smiling. A sincere smile. My father called this an anchor. Turns out this anchor can be used to build many things. You have built your kingdom, Zelika, Sika said. I corrected. We built it. Sika smiled. My team in Atlanta keeps asking when I'm coming back. Seems I need to give them an answer. And what is your answer? I asked, looking at him. Siko didn't answer with words. He took a step forward, looked at me, and then held out his hand. I am no longer needed as a consultant. The cleaner, they said. No, I replied, accepting his hand. The grip was firm. Now I need you as a partner. We stood there, watching the sunset over our kingdom. A kingdom that wasn't built on greed or lies, but on the rubble of betrayal, and raised again with the foundations of justice and a new legacy. What would you have done in my place when everything was ripped away? Have you ever faced such a devastating betrayal? Tell me what you think in the comments below. I really want to know.